Samuel Edomiaku. Having said that, the chairman of this occasion, a very wonderful friend, brother, Dr. Gentu Emela. I'm calling him doctor because the day they were conferring him, I was there at the University of Port Harcourt. He finished for University of Port Harcourt, and I was there. And I was the only vice chancellor that gave the vice chancellor's speech, and I saw him there. Immediately when we left the place, himself and his boys came, we snapped together. So this one, I don't need to go and verify any certificate. So this was, thank you very much. So if you are coming here, we will know that you have the certificate. Royal Majesty, sir, the father of the day, is also somebody that I worked with, very forthright, very principled, straightforward, diligent person. When he was in the due process, I was part of the team that in 2009 did the verification exercise for the state, and we are on the advisory committee. And from there, I looked at him as someone that will make this Bayelsa state and the John nation proud. When he became the traditional ruler, I said something will happen. But before I knew it, he's the shaman of all the traditional rulers in this state. You're highly welcome to Nigeria. And he's a very good friend of this university. Anytime we invite him, he will not delay. He comes. No too much serious protocol. So we don't know whether we'll create a special office or a special chair for you. Thank you very much for this honor you've done to us. The book presenter, thank you also. You are a friend as well. And in order to patronize you, when I always go to Abuja, I patronize the hotel there. So that I will be contributing. Thank you very much. And today you are here, you will contribute very, very. We know you are a big man. You will contribute very well. And you know me, I will not hesitate in asking big amount of money. Thank you, you are aware, very. Thank you very much. And then our guest of honor, the senator-elect. I work with him also. In fact, nearly everybody here, apart from Maoga at that end, have worked with all of them here. All of them here. So my senator-elect, thank you very much for this honor. And you will still make us proud there. Argue and get all the bills, but stop that water bill in that place. That's the first assignment. Thank you very much. And every other member of the high table, very revered, my colleague, whom we borrowed to BNU. In fact, all of them, we borrow them out. And we are the pace setters and we give. Thank you very much for this honor, Professor Ibitimutula Etebo and Berezi, Vice Chancellor and the Registrar of the Bayelsa Medical University, the council members that are here, all our principal officers, past and present here, deemed, our Royal Father, thank you very much for honoring. You've been a very wonderful person yourself and your Prime Minister. In fact, you've been very wonderful. Thank you very much. Professors here, acting heads and heads of departments here, directors, staff of Niger Delta University, the clergy, and all our loved ones that are here for us today that want to give us money. And from the Ogoni Brotherhood, I can see all that when he was giving that song, and I saw the spirit of the Obia brother would come in. Anundua, thank you very much. And every other staff and student and invited guests, the press, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Today, I'm very happy. That's why I said, permit me to express my appreciation to Almighty God for this opportunity that He has given to us to enable us take a retrospective thought and the capacity to document succinctly without any ambiguity most of the significant achievements recorded under the leadership of Professor Humphrey Andrew Ogoni as the third Vice Chancellor of the Niger Delta University. Today, Niger Delta University celebrates one of our finest academic icons who has contributed significantly in academic and administrative services to the development of Niger Delta University. It is without doubt that this public presentation of a book in honor of Professor Humphrey Andrew Ogoni is taking place when he is able to witness the chronicles of his academic growth, leadership impact, and dynamics of this human engagement through influence and power relations. The book, Giant Strides of Professor Humphrey Andrew Ogoni, remains the product of the 5 years experience of leadership achievements recorded during the period 2012 to 2017 as the Vice Chancellor of the Niger Delta University. Sharing these experiences command a reflection of the true realities of what exactly transpired during the period where available, scarce, and very limited resources were gainfully deployed for developmental purposes, with an absolute understanding of the need to achieve the goals for which the university was established. The book is detailed and gave comprehensive account in university administration in contemporary times, as the text remains a repository of information and a wealth of knowledge for university administration and administrators and managers, researchers, and all those interested in university education systems. On this note, I welcome you all to Niger Delta University for the public representation of the book titled Giant Strides of a Quiet Achiever. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Can you please give
The book has 194 pages divided into 17 chapters. It contains a foreword written by the current Vice Chancellor of Niger Delta University, Professor Samuel G. Edomi-Ekumo, and it contains a tribute as well from the office of the Vice Chancellor. Interestingly, the contributors are drawn from across a sphere of scholars and staff of the university, many of whom have had direct relationship with the erudite professor we are here to honor. And I will just try and run through some of the topics because there are 17 of them. I wouldn't want to take all our time. But the first chapter was aptly written by Professor John Cecil Buseri. I don't know if he's here, he's professor, I don't think he's here, who incidentally was the first Vice Chancellor of the Niger Delta University. And in that chapter, he tried to give us, a history of the founding of this university. He gave us a history of how the school started with the establishment of Bayelsa State, the series of meetings that were held, and the recommendations that were ultimately implemented that gave rise to what we have today as the Niger Delta University. He also highlighted the challenges that they faced as a new school. Definitely, it wasn't easy for those of us that were employed early. I was employed in 2012, and I can just imagine what those who were in 2004, those who were employed in 2000 and 2001 had to go through. So he highlighted the infrastructural challenges of power, access to the site, transportation, and he culminated the chapter by looking at the contribution of Professor Ogoni, particularly in the engineering faculty, how they started and the role Professor Ogoni played as the head of department, initial acting head of department in chemistry, Kempet. Going further, Professor Fai Bainime Polly and Augustus Adeika attempted to give us an x-ray of who Professor Ogoni is. They looked at the history of the man, how he was born in 1956 in Ologi, in Ogbia. They looked at the challenges he had to overcome to get to where he is today, how with the help of God and a dint of hard work, he was able to get a scholarship to go to the Soviet Union, where he embarked on this study in chemical engineering and ultimately returned to Nigeria towards the end of the 70s and the early 80s with a master's degree in chemical engineering. And just like I was trying to say initially, they pointed out that Professor Ogoni wanted to go into the industry, but God had other plans, better plans for him, and eventually he entered the academic institution, starting with Rivers State University of Science and Technology in 1981, and from there he grew to where he has got to. They trace how he also moved from Rivers State University to Niger Delta University, the challenges he also had to overcome, how he obtained his PhD in 1998, and all that. They also try to give us a view into the personality of Professor Ogoni. And you will see, like, a number of persons have been talking that Professor Ogoni is calm and very quiet. And you know, people who are calm and quiet, if you don't know, you may want to take them for granted. But when you hear him talk, if you can listen to him, you'll be able to appreciate the depth and the substance that he carries. And so these authors were able to give us a historical purview, if you may, of Professor Ogoni. Interestingly, the same authors wrote the third chapter where they try to look at the origins and development and roles of universities, the role of university in society. They try to examine the place of the university as a center for learning, a center for teaching, for research, and for community service. And then going further from there, Emmanuel Franco Pigo comes in with a non-academic perspective to examine the infrastructural developments and the strides that occurred during the tenure of Professor Ogoni. We all know that NDU is still developing, and for a lot of people, when they enter into an institution, what they want to look at first is infrastructure, library, hostels, and all that. And in their chapter 4, they were able to highlight, first of all, the challenges that Professor Ogoni faced and the steps that he took to galvanize resources, to reach out to different fund providers like TED Fund and a number of these other bodies, as well, of course, as the Bayelsa State government, because we cannot entirely remove the contributions of the government. And so in their chapter, they looked at the developments and the achievements of the tenure, because our focus is on the tenure of Professor Ogoni and the strides that were made during that period. So they were able to focus on the developmental strides in terms of infrastructure that were geared towards addressing the challenges that the school faced. For example, the link road, they pointed the efforts that Professor Ogoni took in ensuring that the link road that we all enjoy today from here to the new site, at least the foundation was laid, the bush was cleared, and work started, which was ultimately completed in the next administration. And after that, In chapter 5, Professor Allen Agee, who is the next chapter, Professor Jonah Kekere and 2 others evaluated the town and gown relationship. They evaluated the town and gown relationship. Of course, we know that the university cannot exist in isolation. We must be an integral part of society, and that is what they try to emphasize, the role of the state, the university, and its interrelationship with the Bayelsa state government, as well as with the host communities. Sadly, at least during the period of Professor Ogoni, their views were not very, very complementary in terms of the interrelationship between the university and the state government. Hopefully, there has been some improvement along that line, but they pointed out that the university must maintain a focused relationship with the state government. They also looked at the impact of the university and the community, particularly host communities, and pointed out that so far the Niger Delta University has been able to engage our hosts, in terms of employment, training, access to medical facilities, and a number of other initiatives that are geared to ensuring that the persons that live around us benefit maximally from the university being sited in this vicinity. Going further, Professor Allen Agee and a few others, I can't mention all of their names because of time, they emphasized they x-rayed the university advancement and linkages during the tenure of the university. Again, we know that the university must create a linkage with external institutions, external support, and all that. And so they looked at the efforts that were taken in that regard, pointing out that thus far, the university was able to create a link with a number of international institutions in South Africa, in the United Kingdom, in the USA, and also in Nigeria. So there are a number of topics. Because of time, I won't be able to run through all of them. There is a chapter on sports development and the role that Professor Ogoni's administration played in the advancement of sports in the university, the building of the basketball court, and the 24th Nuga Games that was held again during his tenure. There was also a presentation on women. We can't leave our women beside. So Professor Ogoni's tenure, and there was a chapter by Mrs. Angaye, and then they looked at the role of Professor Ogoni's administration in the development of women, the integration of women. In that chapter, they tried to emphasize the importance of women empowerment. It's generally said that if you empower a woman, you empower the society. And in that light, they were able to point out that during Professor Ogoni's tenure, there was a serious attempt to integrate women in terms of employment, in terms of training, and in terms also of awarding scholarship to as many as qualified and were ready. I cannot end without also highlighting that the relationship between the administration and staff was also examined by our Professor of Management, Professor Stanley Ogun. So he again x-rayed the relationship that the administration had with ASU, and he sadly had to go back in time to point out that the administration before Professor Ogoni's, they didn't have a very smooth relationship. It was quite frosty, but that when Professor Ogoni came into office, because of his calm approach and all that, he was able to build bridges, and the current administration has taken it on from there. The book closes with a tribute from the office of the Vice Chancellor that was written by Mr. Emmanuel Amaekbe, who is currently the SAVC, and then a highlight of the achievements, legal achievements that have been made by the school during the tenure of Professor Ogoni. So in sum, I want to say that the book is well written. The book is well written, and it addresses various aspects of the tenure of Professor Humphrey. It is an excellent work. It's an excellent work because it integrates various aspects. It's not just a purely academic work. but it brings in the perspective of the academia, but not from an academic perspective. So we see that most of the chapters were written by lecturers, but they tried to tone down on their academic analysis in order to render the book available and amenable to all. So to that extent, I want to commend the book. If it had just been written in academic jargon, then they would have narrowed the scope. But as it is broad, and I commend it to all. That said, I would have felt that the book would have benefited more if we also had perspective from students during the tenure of Professor Ogoni and perhaps from the host community. But that does not detract from the excellence, and that does not detract from the interesting aspect of the book. I want to commend this book to every one of us. I want to encourage us that before you leave, you get a copy of this book, because it will inspire you. There's the historical dimension. In fact, while reading it, I learned so much about the university. I've been here for 19 years, and there was still so much I did not know. But while reading the book, reading the chapter by Professor Buseri, I was able to understand some things I never understood. And it's when you understand what you don't understand that your perspective and the way you talk will change. So if you read this book, you will have a firm grasp of what Niger Delta University is all about. I also commend the book to administrators, university administrators. Thank God we have our colleagues from other universities, from the Bayelsa Medical University and other institutions. The book is something worth reading by university administrators, because it will also give you insight and hints on how to overcome challenges. I recommend the book also to young academics and scholars. Because there are valuable insights and recommendations that were made for them. Lastly, I thank the editors of the book for giving the writers free hand. It wasn't a book that was constrained. The authors were given academic liberty, and even where that may amount to criticizing some policies of government, they were still given that academic liberty, and I think that is something that is commendable. So in all, I want to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Giant Strides of a Quiet Achiever by Professor Humphrey A. Ogoni, and I believe that it is something worth reading, it's something that is worth keeping in your library and consulting from time to time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. A round of applause for him. I think that
to represent the Bayelsa East, Your Royal Majesty, the Chairman of the Traditional Rulers Council, Bayelsa State, our distinguished author, my brother in whom I am well pleased, the new DVC admin, very sorry, in order of protocols, the Honorable Commissioner for Science and Technology, the humble man from the Ogoni extraction. My Lord, the Bishop of this institution, and I'm sure NDU is also lucky to have a bishop, not a knight. The wrong, but I'm not sure so many institutions are having a bishop that takes care of the spiritual aspect of the institution. So we are proud of you, personal friends. My brother, the chairman and chief executive, Saka. Other vice chancellors here present, registrars here present, principal officers of these great universities and other universities are here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My friend, the VC, when I acknowledge you, you are not here. You are a professional. That is why the standard of the institution is very high now. The VC is a member of, not only a member, but a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management, the umbrella body of every other institution in Nigeria. And I'm scared when they introduce you as chief executive, because you are supposed to be confined to academics. When you begin to manufacture water and other things, you tend to encroach. Leave that one for us. I would have been happier seeing bottled water, yellow bottled waters on the table. You have to be everything. That was on the lighter note. Ordinarily, I would have said, I hereby present this book, because it's a university environment, and it's a sacred place. It's more sacred than the House of Assembly I belonged, because it's a collection of all the disciplines on arts. And so placement of laws is also taking judicial notice. I come to think of a PhD holder in law reviewing the book. So I might be forced or committed to see a very few things. But I should be exempted if I heard, because like I said, not all of us are professing to be professors. Some professor is what you are. Businessman is a collection and contribution of the society. The clergy can only be clergy when he has congregations. Lawyers can only be lawyers when there is a court. And so it is in every discipline. But for professors, we don't take it for granted. I'm lucky to have been the first assembly member in my time amongst 24 of us to produce a professor from NDU. And I was so proud, very proud. I quickly called a party where the who is who was there. Professor Ogoni presented the lead paper because it was a professional program. It wasn't political. Less than 20 years down the line, Professor Ogoni has been able to turn out 20 professors from the Ogoni extraction and state council. So, like one of my brothers would say, because I associate with professors, I'm also a professor. Because I celebrated a professor, I'm happy for the numbers of professors Ogoni has turned out, and I associate with him, but I'm not a professor. I don't even think about it. I'm not thinking of it. The time to count the profit and loss is so overwhelming that I cannot do too much of academic work again. But I must confess that this is one man that has built society in quietness. I agree with Gentle Omeda, the Commissioner for Education, who said he has seen somebody that is more gentle than himself. If he was here, I would have disproved him to tell him that you are only gentle in the church, you are not gentle politically, because you know our meeting point. That is by the way, but it's not here. I want to thank God for today. Thank God for a quiet achiever. My own brother, in whom celebration was made in my own time as a lawmaker. Professor Ogoni, in his own little contribution, I must say, I've never slept in any other hotel apart from Ayala Hotel anytime he goes to Abuja. And so, when I was approached to make presentation of the book. I said, Professor Ogoni, you know, I don't have time to read volumes of books. You want to make me a presenter, what will I do? He said, just say one or two things and say, I hereby present the book. So that's what I want to say. Which I have already said it. These are the one or two things that I have said, I have thought of saying. It's on that note that I want to congratulate Professor Humphrey Ogoni. Also congratulate the VC, a bosom friend, who has given us the enabling environment to celebrate the man he calls his boss. I congratulate Professor Allen Age and his team for doing a very creative work. It is better to be celebrated while alive than to gather the world when you are in mud. Congratulations, Professor Ogoni. Congratulations, VCNDU. Congratulations to all of us. It's on that note I want to present. I've said it. I said I may not know it all. I want to whisper. I know what to do. I knew what to do. I didn't know that I'm not in a political background, so I spoke tautology. I knew what to do, but I wanted a teaching. And that lecture has come from my friend, the former DVC admin. I want to present this book, and I want the chairman of the Traditional Rulers Council to be by my side. Let me be well equipped. I also want to invite the distinguished senator-elect to also be by my side so that I don't stagger. Yes. To cap it up, I also invite the landlord, the VCNDU. I'm afraid to call you the CEO executive, like I said, to also be by my side. It won't be complete if I fail to invite the highest government official that is here, the Commissioner for Science and Technology, my dear friend and brother. The women are not left behind. And I know I will be fired, wiped very well if I fail to honor our own. Other women should not take it personal. The book is written by Anogbea, celebrated, it's in celebration of Anogbea man. And so I want to invite Anogbea mother, who has also made it in life. Chief Mrs. Love Immaculata Amasemon. The ever-blowing mother. You can come down. I can also invite my bishop so that you put spiritual touch. Carry on. In the assembly, we say you have the floor.
joining me.
On behalf of myself, my family, and my micro business, and people standing here with me, I hereby present the book, Giant's Right, The Quiet Achiever, Professor Humphrey A. Ogoni, the sum of 1 million naira.
On behalf of all of us. The businessman has been tornado on behalf of all of us. But to also show appreciation, and to manifest our happiness for what is happening today is very truthful. We want to also support him by donating the sum of $500. Thank you.
Of the University Council, we will donate the sum of 100,000 naira, and on behalf of my humble self, 25,000 naira.
I think to support my brother, the book presenter, I personally support with the sum of 50,000 naira. And something that will come from my ministry, I will not mention. Thank you.
Okay, I will take a copy for an undisclosed amount. Thank you.
I need to be very careful.
You will not be careful.
The council is with me here. Governing Council said they are presenting 200,000. What will the university present again? So in any case, for our library, we present every 200,000.
Thank you, sir. I think we can go back to our seats. Bishop wants to.
No, I'm not talking to you later. One chapter is not here, and that chapter is very important. So when there will be second edition, that one will come. Because the religious area, Professor Ogoni immediately became Vice Chancellor. I won't hide it, I'll tell all of you what he did that has manifested greatly in his time. Immediately became Vice Chancellor, he called me chaplain. We will be praying every Saturday by 10 o'clock. I will come from Unique every Saturday for 3 years. For 3 years, praying in his office. By the time he left, that spirit had grown and manifested with the present vision. Instead of every Saturday, it's now every day. Well, I will tell my congregation, the chapel, Liberation Chapel. Yes. Yes, we will take one copy for 25,000. And myself and my beloved wife here. Can you stand up? Amen. 25,000 naira. Rapu Goshikaya. Thank you. Thank you.